The Art of Voiceover and Performance Capture with Debra Wilson.
Before we get started, the one thing I wanted to share more than anything else is that I don't want this to be a lecture. I didn't agree to do this to be a lecture or a talk or me speaking. This is supposed to be interactive. I want to make it interactive because if this is just about my career and what I've done and me, you know, acting and doing comedy and all these other things, then I'm missing the point and I don't want to be here for that. That's awkward for me to talk about. What I want to do is have an exchange and a dialogue, because what the real relationship between us is how we can matriculate through doing the things we love to do, make money off the things we love to do, look at the beautiful, passionate aspect of it, why we love to do it, why we're driven to do it, what's inside us, and at the same time, be able to look at the dynamics of the things that we do and how we can make that actually happen, how we can make those things a reality. Because if I'm just going to talk about me, then I think it's pointless. Go see a movie where you don't have to really interact, you know what I'm saying, other than yourself with your emotion and what you see on the screen. So I really want people to ask questions and not feel as if they have to wait for Q&A. Because a lot of times, people may have a question about something I just said, and you may go, wait, well, explain what you mean. Because there may be something that affects you, that relates to you, that correlates to something that's going on in your life, or an aspect that you've been thinking about when it came to work, creativity, family, friends, belief, religion, emotions, any of those things that affect you, as opposed to, I need to curtail and edit myself because it doesn't relate to this. Everything relates. In this circle right here, which I call the safety circle and a haven, everything relates. There is no good, there is no bad, there is no right, there is no wrong. There's all of us existing together, coexisting together, and every question is an important question. If it's important for you to ask it, then it's important for me to answer it. Okay? We good with that? Yeah. Good. So please, feel free to interrupt at any time when you want to know something, when you want to ask something that relates specifically to you. It doesn't have to be about me. It can be about you, something you want, because it doesn't matter what career path or what idea or what dream or what passionate thing that goes on in your life. That's all of us. It's each and every one of us as beings on this planet. That's a part of our purpose as these beings on this planet, to be able to realize and self-actualize an opportunity to grow the make and measure of who you are and put something back creative in the world. We destroy the world so often in so many ways, whether it's global warming or whether it's the hate crimes, and whether it's using social media to batter and bully from schools and everywhere else. But I think the pollution that I tend to point out more is what we do when we talk about ourselves, or lack thereof, our lack of dreams, or our fear that we can't create, our fear that we'll never get beyond where we are, our fear that we can't create a greater reality. And so when I look at people in social media who are judging, and those internet trolls, those are the people who are creating a pollution. That's self-pollution, because until you go within, you will always go without, figuratively and literally. And so it's really important for us to go, there is a self-love that is burgeoning within us for each of us to rise to the occasion of what we want to create, and more importantly, what we deserve to create. To leave the planet that much more inspired so that others can find a preoccupation starting within, so that whatever they put without, they're growing something that everyone can participate in and be inspired by. So just to start it off in general, when I was at the heyday of what I was doing with MADtv, it was a brand new show. It was the upstart of a Saturday Night Live, and it succeeded. It did very, very, very well. It wasn't a competition with Saturday Night Live. More than anything else, it was another sketch show that had characters and that did impersonations and impressions. And it was new for Fox to do something late night in that regard, because Fox never was able to get off a late night comedy show like an iconic Saturday Night Live off the ground. Saturday Night Live will always be the pinnacle of late night sketch comedy, because no one else is doing it like they do, at least in network TV. In other aspects of media, yeah, there are plenty of those, but as far as network TV is concerned, which I also believe will go the way of the dodo bird very soon, it still is the pinnacle. It can't be touched. It's the big man on campus, and it's the king on the top of the hill, the queen on the top of the hill, the it on the top of the hill. But for what we did on MADtv in our heyday, we were finding a different audience. We got some carryover, but there was a different audience that said, this appeals to us because it reminds us more of an In Living Color. And so we really caught a base at that particular time, and it was really, really powerful for each and every one of us to kind of grow ourselves in it. And even though that's what you saw, there was a blanket of resentment and awesome animosity and fear within the workings between actors because of human beings, because it's the kind of human beings that we are. And so, as we kind of matriculated through that and still making it work, because as long as we had all the right elements and it was edited and put together, then the show was going to do well. It had a meteoric rise because of that. But there was a lot of stuff going on, and that's why I bring up the point of us being these individuals that are still this one unit, because no matter what the show product looked like by the time you saw it, what it took to get there was painful at times, very emotional at times, very challenging at times, because you had all these different dynamic personalities of people came in who had come in to be the cast members, trying to find out their place in the world, their place in the industry, their place on the show. And so you had all of these psychological and emotional and personal and artistic mixes, and then discovering what it's going to be. It wasn't as simple as taking milk and putting chocolate in it, stirring it up, and voila, you get chocolate milk. You had all these different dynamic personalities trying to figure out where they were in terms of jockeying for position on a show like that. And it took its toll in the relationships, or what I like to call relationships, because a relationship is all about how we relate. And I don't care if it's a personal or romantic, or you're relating to the environment and the atmosphere, you're relating to what you read, you're relating to another human being. It's the way you relate to something that you are always going to have an output from that relating. And so the output there was all over the place. It was all over the map, but taking the product at the end of the day, editing it and putting it together, the network was happy, the producers were happy, and everybody else was happy with their work. And so after MADtv, I found that work-wise, there was a slump. I wasn't working as much, and I started going through a dark night of the soul myself. And in the process of that, going, like I said, that pollution inward, the noise pollution within my own head, because we can be our own worst enemy, is, I will never get this back again. I'm not sure if I deserve to get this back again. I don't know if I can have this back again. While on the outside, desperately putting out that energy of desperation to get that back again. And so whatever I believed at the time was a failure had an astronomical response to me, because it was different than already being on a show. So that weighed heavily on me, and I kept that with me, and then I put that back out into the world. That low self-esteem, that I'm failing, I can't get another show, I can't get this thing, because all I was putting out really in all of that was desperation. It was fear, it was loathing, and it was desperation. And with that, the universal response was, well, if that's what you're putting out, then we're going to give you more of, because undoubtedly, what you focus on increases. What you focus on increases. And as I focused on the fear, the desperation, and the need to get back that thing that helped me feel like, as a performer, as an actress, as an idea and a concept, not a person, but the idea and the concept and the relationship I had with people who saw me on camera, it was trying to get back all of those things. But again, it's like mixing milk with chocolate. You're only going to get that one thing. And I was wondering why I wasn't getting my chocolate milk. Why is it that it's not this simple for me? Why is all of this more complex when I was able to get a show Get on the show, be the first one hired for that show, be the matriarch of that show, work that show, love that show, and now, when that thing is gone, I can't seem to perpetuate this experience. And in the process of that, in the process of not working on that, I could no longer afford my home. My marriage was completely collapsing, and I wasn't working. So I thought, what do I do now? Because I have defined myself in one particular aspect based on this powerful opportunity to be on TV. And MADtv was not my first series. It was my third. I had 2 series in New York, but I was used to things going away. I'm from New York. It was like I did a series with Joe Rivers. That went away. That's okay. Oh, wow. Something else came along. That's okay. A commercial. Oh, that went okay. A spokespersonship. That went okay. A movie. That was okay. And I was so used to being defined by those things that every time something went away, another door opened. When one opportunity closed, another one came along. And so I was grateful that all of those things were happening, but with MADtv, it was a different type of investment. It was moving to the West Coast and putting and banking on one thing, at least at the time. Because in New York, I matriculated through all of that, but that's where I'm from. I'm from New York. I know the area, I know everything that's going on, and I was able to move through the place that I was comfortable in. But LA was a different animal altogether. And it's hard to matriculate through a place when you don't know where you're matriculating to, and the only base of operation that you have is to show you were hired to be on. I was hired in New York, came out to LA, so I said, okay, at least there's a sense of security. The security blanket is I'm on this show. Got it. And then when that went away, the security blankets I tried to establish were there to not only support and validate, but also replace. See, for me, a husband can replace that. Being a homeowner can replace that because those were a sense of comfort. That was supposed to be my foundation. But all of those foundations crumbled. And I know you thought you were coming here for a whole different talk, and we will get to that, but it crumbled. And I felt I had no other place to stand on. Where else was I going to stand? And I had to let it all go. I got to the point where I had to stop the thinking, stop the head games, stop the noise in my head. Stop the lack of faith. Stop the disbelief. Stop the low self-esteem. Stop telling myself, I can't and I won't. Stop the desperation, and I let go completely. I had to, in my heart, not out into the world, not with my agent, not with my manager, not with the people who I asked to sell me, to get me out there in that desperation to work again. I had to stop and silence my own self, silence my own mind, so I can listen to the most important part of me, my heart. And when I did, I knew what I was good at. I knew what I was great at. And instead of feeling like I had to sell that aspect of my heart, and sell that aspect of my career, and sell that aspect of my being and my talent, I stopped. And I listened to my heart and said, do what makes you feel good. Because in this moment, you know you don't feel good. This is not working for you. You're too desperate. When you let that go, do what makes you feel good. And in the process of doing what makes you feel good, allow others to experience it. Don't ask for money. Don't try to sell it. Don't make it a commodity. It's who you are. What's inside you? Your gifts are already inside you. You don't have to make a commodity out of it. And I had been doing voiceover for a long time with MADtv. The commercial parodies, when I played Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, I would do the singing. I did all the singing. When they had commercial jingles, I would do that. So I knew what that was like. And even as a kid, I was always interested in accents. So I loved watching TV as a kid and doing those accents. I would go over to my friend's house who had a little studio in his basement, and I said, you know what, I'm going to read this this ad in this magazine. I would get a magazine and I would read the ad in the magazine. I was like, could you put music behind it? So I was already in my mind doing commercials, and there was no money involved. It was just fun. I just would love to hear a recording and go, that's me. I love doing this. And I had to get back to that place. And so even though I was older, the child said, come on, take my hand, let's get back to that place together. And I did. And before I knew it, my agents were coming to me, and people were coming to me going, you know what? We've got an acting thing for you, and would you try this out? And so I was saying, yes, sure. Let me just stay open to everything. This is not about, well, how much money is it? This was about, let me stay open. And the very first thing that I stayed open to, when I was married, my stepson was visiting from Canada. It was the summer, and I wanted to impress him. And because I had known people in the entertainment industry, I had a neighbor, and when she moved and then I moved, we still kept in contact, and her name was Amy. Amy was now working at a company that did special effects makeup and special effects. And I said, Amy, my stepson is in town. Is it possible for us to come by and take you to lunch and then come into the studio and see what you guys are working on? She's like, sure. So we went, and the studio was a very, very, very well-known special effects studio and makeup studio. And it was the people who created the Alien and the Predator and all sorts of amazing and iconic animals. And we walked through the workshop, and there were groups of people doing special effects makeup and working on these particular things. And it was just to make him go like, wow, this is really cool. This is, this is a cool part of the Hollywood aspect of, what my stepmom does. And it was a great day. And I didn't think anything of it after that. And I thanked Amy. We took her out to lunch. It was great. Weeks later, because again, I'm just staying open. Weeks later, she gives me a call and says, hey, listen, when you're walking through, there's a group of people within the company that are working on something, and it's so secret that everyone else doesn't know about it. So, Debra, I can't even tell you what it is. They're calling it Project 880. But they saw you, and they saw your energy, and they saw, your enthusiasm, and they saw your body, and they need a model for this particular thing. They had hired models before, but they weren't getting what they needed. And so they saw you and they thought, would she come in and model? There's no money in it. And I was like, this is not about the money. This is about me getting back to my center. And so I said, sure, absolutely. So I went, I met the people who were involved, and it was Stan Winston Studios. I'll just say that now. It was Stan Winston Studios. Sure. Okay, here's what we're looking for. We want a cat-like creature, but who's humanoid. And you live on this planet, you are a leader of your people. You're a strong, powerful leader. And I thought, ooh, this is going to be fun. So, and because I'm so clear about what I love to do and passionate about what I do, and there are no holds barred for what I do, I was like, I need to take my clothes off. Because if I'm wearing clothes, I'm not humanoid anymore, because clothes make me feel human. I can feel it against my skin. I need to take my clothes off. Got down to my underwear, and they put me behind a green screen. And they said, okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take photos, but you have to be very, very still. And I said, before I get still, I want to create the environment. I got back to my acting roots, asking nothing else but to be. And I got back to my acting roots, and I created the environment, and I did all of the motions and the movements. And then when I found that place, I would freeze, and they would take pictures. Let's fast forward. A year and a half later, I get a call from a production that's going on. Project 880 is in production. I get a call from the assistant director. First AD goes, listen, we want you on this project, and we're already in production, so we need you to go through all the stuff that needs to be done before you get here. I was like, oh, whoa. I have no idea what you're talking about. Because this I had forgotten about, And it's one of those things there, instead of holding on in desperation, which I used to do, like, what happened? What's going on back? What happened? Did anybody hear anything? I let it all go. I had forgotten. And they said, no, you're supposed to be on this project. No. If it's not coming through my agent or manager, I don't know. I don't know anything about this. I'm sorry. Before I hung up, they said, wait a minute, but you went to Stan Winston Studios and you modeled, right, a while ago? Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I do. Well, that Project 880, okay, is now in production, and the director wants you on board. Who's the director? James Cameron. Say what? James Cameron is directing it. Those pictures you took, he saw it. He was very inspired by what you did. And he wants you to do performance capture, motion capture on this. He asked for you by name. You mean Debra Wilson by name? Like Debra Wilson. Yeah. I don't know what motion capture is. I've never done it. James Cameron is a huge, iconic director. I don't want to look stupid. I don't know what this process is. It's not your regular acting process. It's something else. I'm sorry, I'm going to decline. I'm going to decline. I don't know anything about this aspect of the industry. He really wants on the project. Thank you. I so appreciate the opportunity, but I don't want to look like an a-hole in front of James Cameron, because I'm sure the people you've already hired on this project, they know what they're doing and they're involved. I love that nail color, girl. I'm sorry. Jim wants you on the project. You really can't say no. I can't go back to him and tell him no. He's very enthusiastic about that. Okay. Because when I hear things like, oh, he's really enthusiastic, I'm like, yeah, okay, you're just trying to give him he don't really know me. Come on, he's got money. Of all the people he's worked with, and all the people he knows, and all the productions he's done, and all the iconic films that he's done, he knew me by name? Okay, whatever. Okay, all right, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. Can I bring a leprechaun with me? So I do. And the process that I have to go through, the technical process of rendering my body, rendering my face, all those things that are required in motion capture, was my first time going through it. It took hours and days to do it. And then what they had to do was they had to mold my face and and at the time I had dreads down here. And they're like, well, how do we get around that, doing a head capture? So what they did is they took my dreads and they tied it up in cord, and then they made it like a sausage casing of latex around it, and strung it up on a light pole, and then did it around the hole in my head. Around where all my dreadlocks were strung up like that. And they did a whole body cast, a whole cast from here, shoulders up. So I go through the process, I get on the set the first day, and with motion capture, you're in a studio, you're on a stage, a giant stage. I mean, a huge stage. You have cameras like these lights. Imagine double rows of these, not only on the ceiling, but on every wall around you. And inside is called the volume, because all of those cameras are capturing every three-dimensional angle it possibly can. And then they take that information, gets rendered in computer, and your biomechanics of where all of those reflective dots are get rendered in computer, so it looks like all of these dots, but they're moving fluidly with the human mechanics. Then those computer artists take it and then render the look around that of your biomechanics. So when you're moving and you're rendered as another creature, that's still your body and how you move. So we had to learn to walk, and this project ended up being Avatar. So we learned to walk like the Na'vi and move like the Na'vi. Body movements in all of these characters and creatures. Even the language, there was an actual official language of Na'vi that was created, and we had to learn to do that. And it was an amazing experience. So flash forward, it was an amazing experience. Now, little did I know that when I let go and went with my heart, that it would not only bring me there, but then it would bring me forward into the future, into motion capture, where at that point, I told myself, living by my heart is essential not only to my life, but what I leave on this planet. A legacy of love, a legacy of inspiration, a legacy of unbridled passion. And I can't love others until I create that level of self-love for myself in everything I do. Whether I'm volunteering for the homeless, or for animals, abused animals, or whether I'm putting that back in the work that I do, I am a whole, full being. I am a whole, full being, and my passion is driven by all of those things to surrender that love, and let it go, and ask nothing in return. And so if I'm getting paid for something, my passion is first. It doesn't matter what the money is. I will give as much if I'm getting paid $100 as I would if I were getting $5,000. because it's about leaving that legacy of passion and knowing that the foundation was faith in myself, self-love, passion for what you love to do, and leaving it right there because someone else has already built that playground. And you get a chance to play. And it's a safe haven for you to create. There is no good, there is no bad, there is no right, there is no wrong. There is you saying, I'm giving all of my love and attention to this experience. I get a chance to simply be. There's no more desperation about money. There's no more desperation about career. In fact, when people ask me if I'm an actress, I say no. A comedian, I say no. I won't deny them the opportunity for an exchange, but I will say no. But I do sketch, I do improv, because those are the things that I do, and I can gratefully stand there and proudly say, yes, I do improv, I do sketch, I do motion capture, I do voiceover for video games. Those things I can proudly say, but when you call me that, I can't live up to that. I did try once and I didn't. I tried once to live up to that and I didn't. I won't play in that arena anymore. Because I know that I can easily be seduced into the arena of this is what I am, because everyone else thinks you are, everyone else says you are. So accept that, because then it's like, well, I need to perpetuate that then. Because if I'm not doing it, am I not that thing? I'm not going to go through those head games anymore. And so I decided that instead of calling myself any of those things, I just do, and I just am. And in the process of that self-love, going out like this, that truth, going out like this, the universe says, as wide a range as you put out, that's the wide range that's going to come back directly to you this way. And I started booking job after job in video games and in voiceover. And little did I know that as I got older, because I'm close to 60, little did I know that I would start working in an aspect of the industry that was going to evolve that entire time that I was going from the chaos to the awareness and clarity. It was just waiting for me, to a certain extent, for me to get to that head space, that emotion space, that truth space within me, so that I can accept what I wanted to put out into the world. And they said, great, because this is the world we created for you to put it out in. And I worked all the time. I doubled my salary and I doubled my income from 2017 to 2018. Only because I'm working from that heart space. I'm saying yes to the infinite possibility of my own life when I say yes to the possibility of creating a job. Not only that, but because I was so me, the one thing I love is, you can see, I love my, I'm tatted. And when I mean I'm tatted, I have a full bodysuit. I'm tatted from my toes all the way to my wrists and everything in between. My entire body, including my underarms, are tatted. And I'm always finding a crease or a crevice somewhere. There's a piece of skin somewhere, always. And I was like, oh, I found some skin. I'm right in there. So I put my dog's paws and her name there. But I'm always, and so a lot of people who are very interested in looking at their craft a particular way would go, wait a minute, why would you get tatted? You can't play this, you can't do this, you can't do this. In the world where you're still working in front of camera, because I also still do a lot of independent film in front of camera. You won't be able to do this, you won't be able to do this. But the thing is, working from that heart space, when I do book those other things, they don't care. I played a Disney mom, they covered me up. I played a teacher on a Disney series, they covered me up. I played doctors and lawyers, I'm already wigged and I'm in a suit. So it's interesting how all of that revolves around getting positions or working in an aspect of the industry where I'd be covered up anyway. Because when I'm living my life out loud, the universe goes, don't worry, there is a plan. For each and every one of us, don't worry, there's a plan. We may not always see it, and we may go, you know what, I don't know what it is and I can't see it, I'm concerned about the next thing, and right now, but the universe goes, don't worry, there is a plan. And you get a chance in that opportunity, in that space in between, whether it be the dark night of the soul or that place in limbo, to continue to build the make and measure of who you are, so that when the universe revolves everybody else's aspect of the business you want to be in, and it goes, there it is, almost like an elevator. You may be standing in front of an elevator door, but it doesn't mean that it's static, because that Elevator is really behind those doors, going up and down and up and down, and it will get to your floor. So you're not just standing in front of a door waiting for it to open. There is something going on behind the door waiting to evolve for you. And so when I let all that go, all of those things evolved, and I got the opportunity to go, wow. And because of James Cameron and motion capture and all of that, I now go, I know motion capture. I look forward to it. I know the process. I'm ready for it. I know what to do. I've worked on the body mechanics. I stay in shape for those things. And I work on video game after video game, even voiceover-wise. And every time I even think about something I wanted to do, for a while I was like, you know what, I've never done straight announce. I do lots of preacher voices. I do lots of demon voices, lots of kids' voices. If you ever saw the movie The Nun, I do the voice of Valak, and she possesses all these people. So when there's a little boy who's possessed, and a nun who's possessed, and people who are possessed, I do the demon voices. And another thing is, I'm kind of discovering at the same time, so it's never like it's done. I'm always discovering what kind of new things I do. And because I like to play with my voice, and I look back and go, that's right, as a child I used to, that's right, when I was a little girl I used to, oh, I remember as a kid I wanted to, and all of those things are that little girl taking my hand, again, and saying, come on, just do it again, let's have fun again, come on, come on. So all of the things that I springboard into now in the work that I allow, and the work that comes in, and the work that I accept, I never call it a career. People say, well, if it's not a career then, and you have all this work, what is it? It's things I say yes to. It's the infinite presence of opportunity. That's what I call it. It's the infinite presence of opportunity. I don't call it a career. Yes, I work from this to this to this to this to this, but then there may be breaks. I don't know. So all I'm doing is, like everyone in our lives, let's go from moment to moment to moment. Enjoy these moments and let it go. Enjoy this moment and let it go. And realize that you are holding on to this whole pathway, this whole journey of accepting infinite opportunity. And not just accepting it, allowing yourself to create infinite opportunity in your life. It's a powerful way to go, I am building the make and measure of who I am as I continue to accept, as I continue to build, as I continue to move forward into all the creative opportunities that are waiting for me that I have yet to see. Some of those things I will create for myself, which is easy today if you think about the 21st century, if you can blog, if you want to go on YouTube, you have the opportunity. People are using social media in every way possible, and we drive our personalities. We walk our personalities, we think our personalities, we speak our personalities. The kind of personality you are, and whatever you focus on always increases. So if you are the kind of person that loves to create, the universe will undoubtedly have a marriage with you, a dance with you, an opportunity to open you up to how you can create in the space that you're in. When you're coming from that divine and blessed place called the heart. Because your passion in that place is pure. It's not asking for money. It's not asking for fame. It's not asking for a career. It's just asking for you to create in the name of creation in and of itself. Because it's pure and it puts something back into the universe that allows others to be inspired to create. And as you continue to move forward in that passion, others will see it enough that their light goes on and go, we could use that person for that. I can't tell you the number of times that I've gone in, and I love to do baby voices, and I love to do it in stores and stuff. Like I'll be there and be like, what's up? Oh my God, there's a baby. Or, what I like to do is, here's my dog barking. Dog barking in the distance. So I love doing things like that all the time, or creature voices. And so I just did it as fun because a kid. And then that kid then takes my hand as the adult and says, come, let's play. And in the process of that, job after job comes, and I realize that when I get hired for things, it's not simply because I can do this. Yes, I can do these things. That's a dynamic thing. We can all learn. I can teach you how to do voiceover. I can teach you those things. But the dynamic thing that would be missing is who you are. Because you and your heart are at the center of anything. The same way you can have water. It's very fluid. But what is the shape of your glass? Because the shape of your glass, when you pour that water in, won't be the shape of somebody else's glass. That's what makes you individual, but that's also, most importantly, what makes you unique. And so you get a chance to go, in the middle of learning all this, what is the shape of me in the center of this? And because of that, when people keep bringing me back, it's because the shape of me is not just about voiceover or motion capture. It is my joy, it is my dedication, it is my fun, it is my humor. It is my opportunity to go, I love this, thank you. It is my humility because of where I've come from. It's my constant attitude of gratitude for my whole life. And when they feel that, they know they can trust me. They know they can bring me in sometimes, and a lot of times I get hired for stuff that I don't even have to audition for. And little did I know that I would move into an aspect of the entertainment industry that doesn't care about my race, doesn't care about my age, doesn't care about my gender, and doesn't care about my appearance. So those are gifts. Those are truths. The universe will always grace you with the truth as long as you go, I align with that truth because I align with the truth of myself. And when you do, you're going to find that whatever you choose to do, outside of this, anything that you choose to do is applicable the same way. I may be telling you something about the stuff that I've been through and where I'm coming from, but I'm telling the human story. I'm telling the story of the heart. Each and every one of you is that story. In one aspect or another, we're all that water. And each and every one of you are the shape of whatever your glass is to fill. You feel me? Y'all feel me? You dig?
This program was recorded on November 2nd, 2019 at the Ann Arbor District Library.